Hello, everyone. In this presentation, I will essentially mention two partial differential equations that most of us will come across in their work. Partial differential equations are a class of formulas that describe dynamics in spatially extended systems. For example, how does a drug move through the hepatic vasculature? Another example would be when you wish to consider the curvature of the aorta as blood moves through the aorta in a pulsatile manner. And the two partial differential equations are listed on this slide. Written in blue are the Navier-Stokes equations. The Navier-Stokes equations describe the motion of a fluid particle through a tube, that is the given boundaries. And the profile of this motion is represented by U. It depends on several terms. Firstly, it depends on gradient of the pressure, which represents the force generated by the pressure. The second term in between the two plus signs represents contribution of force by the inherent liquid viscosity. And finally, capital F represents external forces applied, example being the force applied by the ventricle to push blood into the ascending aorta. The Navier-Stokes equations are almost always solved along with continuity equations, which are shown on the second line over here. And continuity essentially expresses a conservation of mass. How much liquid comes into a piece of the tube must eventually leave that piece of the tube. So the Navier-Stokes equations are the underlying sort of description of our 3D hemodynamic simulations and the risk factors that we will calculate based on these hemodynamic simulations. Apart from the Navier-Stokes equations that describe the motion of fluid, we are also concerned with how electrical waves move in, say, for example, cardiac tissue through gut tissue. And the equations, the partial differential equations that describe electrical waves in organs is called reaction diffusion equations. And the reaction diffusion equations are shown in the black at the bottom of the slide over here. Typically in reaction diffusion for cardiac electrophysiology, we are concerned with the intracellular potential, which is regulated by the cell membranes ion channels. We are also concerned with calculating the extracellular potential, which generates, or which is a contributor to the ECG. The extracellular potential in these equations is denoted by phi E, as shown by my mouse cursor's location over here. And the intra and extracellular potentials are essentially regulated, firstly, by the cell membrane ion channel activity, as well as the stimulus current received by that piece of cardiac tissue, in addition to how the difference between the external potential and the internal potential is varying with respect to time at that given location. So these are the two important partial differential equations that most of you are going to come across in your work. In addition to these two partial differential equations, there is another partial differential equation that describes the movement of blood and drugs through porous organs such as the liver and the kidneys. And this PDE is called Darcy's law, which we will discuss at a later date. But for now, at the top are the Navier-Stokes equations for blood flow, and at the bottom are the reaction diffusion equations for cardiac electrophysiology simulations. Similar to ordinary differential equations, partial differential equations in our world must also always be solved using numerical methods. PM3 modules and PM3 functions do provide several options for how to solve these partial differential equations. And in general, following is the method that is used. The idea behind this method is fairly straightforward. However, it categorizes, it systematizes our implementation of the PDE solver. In that, in general, PDEs are given as time evolution of some quantity as space evolution plus time evolving terms, as shown on the first line over here. A strong, very strong suggestion is that you split these two operators. First, you solve for the spatial evolution, after which you solve for the rest of the terms. And this method would be called, is called operator splitting. It makes your lives easier. It makes the implementation systematic. And it may also let us solve each of the two components in their own respects to a much higher accuracy with significantly less computational load. So operator splitting is a very good idea, and we will always use it unless it is known to fail. And so, as I said, PM3 modules offer several options. Some of them are based on finite differences. Some of them are based on finite element. There's also a very nice way of solving PDEs of a certain class, and they are solved using boundary element methods. And these are the methods applied to PDEs that we deal with routinely. It will help immensely for those concerned to at least familiarize themselves with some of the underlying maths to a certain extent to assist in future testing and implementation of new methods or solutions of new PDEs. And the resources suggested are firstly Karlslow and Jaeger, who go to great lengths about numerical solutions of the anisotropic diffusion equation. In addition, a more modern description is given by Fletcher. And finally, for those wishing to test out simple and not so simple finite element implementations, please do take a look at the last entry, which is also a book, The Finite Element Method Using MATLAB, written by Kwon and Bang.